In this video, you will learn how to conduct a classroom skill session. I'm on page 18 of the ProTrainings instructor manual. You'll notice that this is the rescue breathing skill session. As an instructor, you want to make sure to have all of your equipment set up ahead of time. Also, you want to make sure that you have the skill evaluator sheets so that the students can follow along and practice with each other and be able to accomplish the skills and then to be able to practice them well. You want to make sure to position yourself as the instructor so that you can lead the whole group of students through the skill together and you can see each individual student perform the skill. Also, you want to position yourself as an instructor that when you allow the students to practice with each other, you will have enough room to walk around the classroom so that you can offer positive and corrective feedback. I like to lead the first set of students through as a group. In other words, I will take the whole scenario, for example, the rescue breathing skill scenario, and I will tell everyone to follow me and stay together. So we'll start with the very first step, and we'll say, okay, everyone, I want you to look at the scene and make sure the scene is safe. So everyone would check out the scene and then say, the next step is, if the scene is safe, think about putting on your personal protective equipment and approach the victim. You're going to now tap and shout and look at the victim's face and chest to see if you see any normal breathing and to see if there is any response. And so on and so forth. I would lead them through step by step by step and make sure all the students stay together, stay together as a group, finishing each skill. If someone is taking off and trying to go far ahead, then you just stop the person and say, hold on, let's come back together. I want to do this as a whole group, as a whole class. So you lead everybody through this scenario first. And then you kind of offer positive corrective feedback as necessary, or mention any things that need to be mentioned at that time. And then I would let the group of students practice with each other. That's where the skill sheets come in very handy. The skill sheets go through each skill step by step. Now I want to show you first of all the Pro CPR skill sheets. The Pro CPR skill sheets are for the Healthcare Provider Adult Child Infant CPR AED program. There are required skill scenarios. Everyone needs to do those skills. Now, why we say adult or child is because the child skills are very similar to the adult skills with just a few minor differences, such as using one hand or two hands for CPR, depending on the size of the child. And the child, when you press, the depth is going to be at least 1/3 the depth of the chest, as opposed to an adult who is going to get at least 2 inches deep when you press in the chest. Otherwise, the skills are very similar. Infant skills obviously have some different techniques. The individual skills that you see listed over on the right hand side of the paper here are things that you're looking for to make sure the students understand each part. You're looking for those parts as they do a full skill scenario. So let's look at the skill sheet, how it's set up. First of all, the adult rescue breathing skill sheet. You're going to notice that you have a scenario, so you can read the scenario to the students. A man fell in a pond and was just pulled out of the water as you arrive. He appears to be unconscious. What would you do? And so you want your students to first check the scene. You want them to think about personal protective equipment and those kinds of things. The second step is you want them to check the person. Tap and shout for responsiveness, and you want to look at the chest and the face just to determine that there's no normal breathing or doesn't appear to be any breathing. You're going to call 911 if you have an unresponsive person with a life-threatening condition. You're going to check the pulse. Then you're going to open the airway, and you're going to give one breath every 5 seconds for rescue breathing if there is a pulse. This is going to become a great tool for you, especially when you first start doing the skill evaluations as an instructor. Decontamination of equipment is key and vital. We do not want to make any students sick because of any kind of training activities that we have done. So it's very important and absolutely mandatory that you do make sure that mannequin decontamination and participant safety is an utmost priority for you. What you need to do with your mannequins, just inspect them, make sure they're not cracked or broken or there's any pieces that might injure someone. You want to make sure that you do have the proper personal protective equipment for your students, whether it be individual lungs. Every time a student practices, it's a different lung system, or whether it's face shields or whatever. Make sure you decontaminate them properly, like 1 part bleach to 10 parts water is a proper solution for decontamination, or 70% alcohol. You want to rub the surface really well, vigorously for 1 minute, and then let it dry, air dry. After your class is over, or a day of teaching classes, you want to make sure you decontaminate all of your mannequins by making sure to soak the parts and scrub the parts, and making sure to take the proper precautions for there. If you have any participants that for example, say I just had back surgery yesterday and they're in your CPR class, it's probably a good idea to counsel that person and to let them know that this is not a good idea to be taking CPR today, and it would be preferable if they did not and they rescheduled that class, because it's putting their safety at risk. Remember, do not compromise the safety of the participant or yourself. It's very important. The skills checklist is the last part of doing that skill session. For every student that you have in your classroom, you need to make sure you keep a checklist on file. You need to have a record of having a checklist that, yes, your students did complete the required parts. Now, as we said before, we have the required skill scenarios and we have the individual skills listed on that checklist. The student's name can be written here in the vertical area. There's enough room to have 12 students listed. Make sure that you sign it, put your registry number on the sheet, and date it. You need to keep that for your records, and if you are not doing the electronic completion for the certification cards, you would need to fax that to us as well. But if you're doing electronic completion, you do not need to fax it. You just simply need to log on to your instructor dashboard, complete your electronic completion check marks, and you keep your own records. And you need to hang on to your records so that if we ever have to audit you as an instructor, you will have your records that you can send to us.